Hello and welcome to TV Retrospective, where we retrospectively look back at TV. I'm Conor.
I'm Kyran.
And this week's special guest is Ethan.
Hi.
Another big fan of Ben 10. And this week we are covering Ben 10 Season 2. So Ethan, as a guest on the episode, I was like, I'm going to ask all our guests, what got you interested in Ben 10, or at least what got you interested in this rewatch?
Well, interested in Ben 10 as a whole. That was like my childhood. I grew up with that stuff. And then rewatching it, I mean, like, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I want to relive my childhood?
That is very fair.
Also, it turns out that most of my memories and favorite episodes are from season 2 onwards. It was weird.
Did you go back and have a look at least at the episode titles of season 1 and go, oh, I do not remember any of these?
Yeah, I kind of did that.
Wow. Yeah, this season did feel a bit much like, this episode's great.
And then it turns out a bit less great than you remember, but still pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll get started into the season. Season 2, episode 1. I need to bring up Stan. I forgot that's what I meant to do, so I can have a look at the episode
I remember
titles.
what it is. I can't remember the title, but I remember.
Yeah,
the
I remember what
premise
it
of
is as well, but come on.
Oh no.
Stuck on season 3. Yeah, season 2, episode 1, The Truth. I'm not a fan of this episode.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit of a
It's fine, but I think as a kid I didn't like it because it was like a twist villain type thing, but now I don't like it because it's just blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
And I have no time for it.
Yeah,
It's pretty much an exposition dump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that most of this series was like exposition dump. Like there wasn't an overarching goal in most cases.
That is true, because last season you had the big old build up of who this Vilgax character is.
Yeah, and this season they kind of just chuck vague, disconnected episodes at you for a season.
But to be
it's
fair,
character building.
Yeah, but this season I feel had a better list of episodes.
Yeah.
I think it might be a mix of I think they found their groove a bit more. Like the first few episodes of the season 1 were a bit okay, they're getting into it, and then they eventually got into it. With this season, they kind of knew what they were doing. Kind of we know the characters now, the audience knows the characters, so you can just go. Everyone knows the aliens, let's have some fun.
It's the same thing most season 2s, to be honest. The first season's about the show making an identity for itself. And then the second season is alright, how can we build on this to make it more interesting? And that's why season 2 is pretty good, because it adds a lot of aspects that you didn't even consider thinking about back in season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, the first episode is very much because my complaint of the last episode of the first season was that it's the ending shot was hey Grandpa, you gotta tell us some stuff. And then it cuts. Where in this one they explain a bit more and they go through it. And because this is the first time we see the plumbers, they're not what I remember from Alien Force and from later on.
Yeah.
They're very much I guess my note is plumber logo retcon. They redesigned that crap to center all around the Omnitrix.
Yeah, that's because I'm pretty sure in the later series and that the plumbers are actually disbanded in this one, and then they end up remaking it around Omniverse.
Yeah, because at the moment, and I'm pretty sure Phil, the plumber, says this, that they fully disbanded the plumbers on Earth. So
that would okay, that's fair. Because I know by Omniverse it's a fully functioning thing, but I think by Alien Force, a few people people are going, maybe just the whole universe had a redesign.
Yeah.
Maybe they're you know what, the PR of the plumbers on the upgrade planet are right, let's change up our logo, let's shift some things around, or the whatever the grey matter species are, probably most likely them. They're right, let's change this around. Well, this scientist over here has made this fancy pretty much ultimate weapon, and he made this neat logo on it, so why don't we just go with that? Because people are afraid of that logo, so why don't we just make it our force? Put it on badges, and then there we go. Yeah, and it was cool to see that old costume and go, man, things have changed.
Yeah,
I like the opening flashback sequence though in this episode,
Yeah, that was good.
that one
but
was
at the
great.
same time, I think it's kind of like it's cool, but it's also kind of stupid because it's
What's
like,
what you
oh
mean strapping Vilgax to a newt?
yeah, I'm like, how did he not break out of that net when you see him like in the previous episode, literally like basically tear down Mount Rushmore with his bare hands?
Yeah, but the difference is, the past Vilgax had skinny arms.
Yeah, yeah. I literally saw that episode and
Yeah,
I
I
was
know,
like,
but he was still really powerful.
yeah. I mean, I saw that episode and my first thought was like, he's a lot skinnier than I remember.
It was always weird that like his first design, he was just like a skinny guy who was like ruling the galaxy, like trying to take over the galaxy. And you're like, I mean, I guess, but then when he gets his new arms and he's like just he's got so much muscle, you're like, nah, I can see that man crushing someone's skull in.
Yeah,
This episode did introduce the Null Void,
yeah, yeah.
which is a very key part of this of the Ben 10 canon, to the point where it's like even like it's like a key component of like the Generator Rex crossover.
I still need to watch that. Damn
It's
it.
so good, man. Like again, it's a thing where it's like I remember this being better, but I'm still having a good time.
Yeah.
Episode 2, which is the Big Tick. I remember this episode.
Oh yeah, that one. The Galactus episode.
I love this episode because it's like Ego's plan from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 with the lackeys of Thanos.
Yes,
Hmm.
but they're a bit more incompetent.
You got the religious one, you got the big one with the axe, and you got the sneedy one.
Hmm.
Like you just don't have the female. That's all you're missing. And then you
Yeah,
got all
that's
four.
pretty accurate.
I remember this episode. I want to say fondly. I don't know. I just remember this episode. I guess it's because it's the first. We got a new alien. We got a new alien. What a new
Yeah.
transformation, Kyran.
Yeah, I know. That's the main thing I like about this episode. It shows that it's not just the 10 aliens, it can be a lot more. And it was pretty much like as soon as they revealed there can be more, they opened the floodgates, and it's like, well, how many are there?
What now? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Max did say millions.
Yeah.
And toy manufacturers everywhere were like, sold.
Yeah.
As they're drinking the drink, and they go, millions, you say?
It's like printing my own money. No, but
Oh, that's
that
perfect.
episode 2 was actually kind of deceptively gory. He goes inside it, and
It
is
wasn't
tearing
really
down the organs.
deceptive. He
Cannonball
destroys
straight
all
through
of
the
its
heart.
internal. He completely mushes all of its internal organs.
And he cannonbolts straight through its heart. And
Yeah.
you kind of like sit there and be like, oh, this is cool. And then you think about it and you're like, oh god.
Ow! That would hurt. It's like having a pinball like hop in your stomach and go.
Pretty much.
Man, that, like the world's at stake. Like it just went from like, oh no, the kids are at stake from being trapped in the null void to like, yep, the planet's gonna die.
The thing is, I always think this is the first episode in season 2, mainly because I forget the previous one exists half the time.
I don't blame you for that though.
And then anytime I go to rewatch season 2, I'm like, oh yeah, this happened again.
Yeah, that's yeah. I had the same thing, but I think it's just because on the like DVD, it's got like Cannonbolt in the front, so you expect it to be the first episode because the reveal of a new alien is the gimmick for the first episode in the series. Spoilers for season 2 of Gravity Falls episode 1, in which it's revealed that like the UV light reveals more on the journal.
I've seen Gravity Falls season 2, I knew that, but had to dramatically gasp.
Yeah, obviously, this is commonplace, but that reveal is a very much that's a season reveal of like there is more here. Technically, they did do that with episode 1 with the whole plumber stuff and the null void, but like
I think it was kind of like they needed to fulfill the grandpa, you need to tell us more thing from the end of season 1, but then they just worked that into an episode and like forgot about it.
Again, I feel like they should have just plopped that into season 1 somewhere. Like you could have. It feels like a season 1 episode a bit, where it's like it's fine. But like as soon as Cannonball, no pun intended, rolls into the scene,
That was definitely intended. Don't lie.
Yeah, because I said it at front instead of behind. But as soon as he rocks up, the whole series kind of changes, and I think for the better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Episode 3, Framed.
Yes.
I really like this
one.
episode.
This one was good.
I'm a big fan of the Kevin Levin episode.
I don't like all of them, but I do like this one.
I don't remember all of them, but from what I've seen of the ones that I have seen, I'm liking all of them so far. But yeah, so Kevin Levin's back, and oh no, Ben is framed, and I'm like, this is I was like, when? It's very obvious it's not Ben.
Yeah, it's like,
As you could see on the non-watch part.
yeah, I was literally like, okay, guys, his arm is in full view. There is no watch thing. There's no watch thing anywhere. It's like the key defining feature. There is no watch logo anywhere on his body. Use your eyes.
Well, actually, that watch thing on him, that's never really addressed. Like, the only time it's really noticed is, like, at the end of season 1, like, when Benson and Vilgax catches him, he just, like, pokes it and he gets reverted back.
Yeah,
And he's
well,
like,
he does.
well,
He
how
does
did
at
that
the end
happen?
of. He does at the end of this season as well, temporarily, and it's like it's the only time it ever does anything, and no one addresses it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think Ben does it himself in, like, Alien Force. Like, he'd eventually, like, he just taps it and he goes back to normal.
Yeah, like, in the
Yeah.
future series, he knows that, but it's surprising, like, how they just don't acknowledge that part in the slightest.
It is a bit weird, but, like, this, again, another classic of hidden theme of body horror. What a good kids show if it doesn't have, like, you know, there's a lot of body horror in this series and stuff, and, like, the reveal of, like, I just feel like there was big stakes in this episode. Ben was being framed by, like, Kevin Levin, kind of, but not really. But then,
Yeah,
like, you have, like, was it Spike or Slash or whatever I don't remember his name.
yeah,
government guy.
weird SWAT guy.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't like any of your aliens and stuff. And then there are stakes there because Ben could get in serious trouble for the crimes he committed, and there's good stakes there, and that means I'm invested and I'm enjoying the show. I'll talk a lot about stakes. Also, Diamond Head versus Heat Blast, like, awesome. Those are just two of my favorites having a civil war. Or just the alien concept. Imagine if they had an actual war. I wonder if, like, eventually in, like, an Omniverse episode they'd tackle, like, a war of, like, two different alien species going at it.
Wasn't that, like, Vilgax's plan to, like, get the Omnitrix to make more of them, to have an entire army of people using that to just conquer everything?
Yeah, that is his plan, but I just kind of want to see, like, the species of, like, Diamond Head versus the species of Forearms. It's like going at it like action figures. Yeah, I just think I just like that hero. That's just in my notes. But yeah, like, I really like this episode, and like that ending in which Kevin Levin turns into the monstrosity that we know.
Yeah,
Just looking at the lineup, though, this is like where most cartoon shows, including this one, it's where, like, they've gotten popular and they're, like, greenlit for more, so they're able to get away with more. Because, like, episode 2, you've got something's entire internal organ system just being completely obliterated. And then, like, some of the later episodes have a lot of things you're like, I'm not sure if you can put that in a kid's show. It's kind of the same as, like, a regular show, how they're, in their own way, able to get away with, like, a drug trip and all that sort of stuff.
No, regular show got away with a lot more.
Yeah, it got away with a lot more, but, like, that was a bit more of, like, the intended audience was a bit older.
True, yeah. But Ben 10 was very much aimed at, like, the 10-year-old demographic. Hence the name.
also they're very, very mature at some points for 10-year-olds.
Well,
Like, I mean, at certain points. Granted, there are points in which it's like, yeah, he's a 10-year-old. But most of the time, wow.
I would pin it down to, like, the fact that as a society we underestimate kids a bit. So, like, because, like, yeah, some cases, like, you know, they're just bratty kids, but other times they're, like, super serious, understand the situation. I always, like, there are a few bits in here I think I put down, like, in one of my notes for one of the episodes being, like, Ben has good morals, and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just good to see that type of, like, I think in last season I addressed the fact that they're saving people. I don't know, it's a kids show, so they have to, like, show that superheroes saving people, but it's just nice to see, like, a superhero saving people in a post-Man of Steel world where superheroes run rampant every media. It's just nice to see a hero save a person.
Rather than destroy half the city stopping one guy.
Yeah. Like, I know Man of Steel is just an example, and they try to fix that with BVS, and Marvel does Civil War, and tries to fix that stuff. But even, like, I'll be watching a movie about superheroes or something, and be like, just don't, you're causing so much destruction. Stop, please, save that person, save the people. in the show they do that, and this is a good show. And speaking of good show, episode 4, Gwen 10.
Yes, I remember that episode. I remember it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was like,
What'd you say, Kyran?
I was just saying, I always remember this one as just like a what if episode.
yeah,
But for that reason,
like-
I usually just kind of dismiss it.
It is canon though.
Yeah.
Like it does. I know it definitely comes back in that like 3-parter and Omniverse. Omniverse is a big thing that is tough to get into.
hence the name Omniverse.
Yeah, but like they do a 3-parter episode in which like I think it's Vilgax or one of the big bads is trying to wipe out every universe just to have one to wipe out the multiverse.
So he basically tried to Crisis on Infinite Earth and just meld it all into one.
Yeah, kinda, but he's just kind of just like using a bomb to blow up every other universe and keeping one.
Yeah, I guess that worked.
And that's and so like what's his name? Like Doctor not Paradox. What's his name? Is it Paradox? The doc from Alien Force who comes in and
Oh yeah, that guy.
the time guy, yeah. He
Yeah.
brings in like 5 different Bens to try and help him and stuff, and there's like
Sounds
some
sweet.
brainwashed Bens by like Eon, and it's a big fight or whatever. And the main hero and like Gwen 10 appears in that, like she's there as one of the people with the Omnitrix, and so I like that there is a constant canon with that stuff.
But Grandpa Max got it at the end.
Yes, that is true. Which I'm like, I would like to see a sequel to this episode. I don't think they do a sequel, but it would be cool to see. Yeah, but there's still a version of Gwen with the watch. Like he's a.
Also, but it was really weird seeing Ben without the Omnitrix. Like, he looked normal, then you saw, like, the bare wrist, and it looked weird.
You say it looked weird. I've seen so many animation errors, which again, not the people's fault. I know the whole situation of trying to fix animation errors, and it's just a mess. But the amount of times I've seen an animation error in this show, it didn't look that weird to me.
I don't have that keen of an eye, so...
Well, I'll be looking up Ben and like his watch is missing. Like it's rare. Like it's at least like 3 or 4 times a season though. And again, it's a hard thing to fix. It's a big old mess. But I really liked this episode, and it was cool to see the aliens in like a different form.
Yeah.
Although they all looked weird with Gwen's hair. They just didn't look right with Gwen's hair.
Yeah, but it's just something's wrong about it.
Especially forearms.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Like Heat Blast and Diamond Head worked pretty well. Like those are cool designs. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
I can
because they
see
don't
that.
have hair.
That's true. Yeah, but then like the grey matter and
Grey matter.
forearms, you're like, oh, that
Yeah.
doesn't look right.
No one wanted
Yeah.
to see that.
And then we didn't get to see any of Max's versions except for Upgrade, which is
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
upgrade.
kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But hey, it was like kind of told in a comic book like The Watcher type thing from like Marvel,
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
where it's like a story can be told in many different ways. And it was just it's like one of those like concepts. So it's like, hey kids, we're gonna introduce you to the concept of like a what if or a situation that you'll probably never seen before. So here
Or
you
the
go. here's this type.
multiverse.
Yeah, which I really appreciate that type of stuff. It's real cool.
Yeah, this
Also-
episode seems to just kind of hint at a multiverse existing, but at the same time, it's like it seems like the developers or creators, whatever the hell they're called, of the show are just like, we're just gonna like put this seed here, just so like if we're kind of running out of ideas later, we can just like pick it up and just put it over there.
Well, I mean, they addressed the null void as another dimension. So like
Yeah.
they have kind of confirmed that there are others. But I guess you're like, okay, well, another dimension. as an 8-year-old, I understand what that means. Episode 5, Grudge Match. Not based on the 2013 film.
I don't know how it could, considering this came first.
So the 2013 film was based off this.
Yeah, except that stars Stallone and De Niro. So, which apparently that movie is not great. But hey, you know what is great? This episode. This episode is pretty good.
Yes, this episode was great. Technog, my dude. I think that was this episode.
I was like, when I was watching it, I was thinking of Ragnarok at first, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was thinking about that, but then it just turned into it just turned into Globnar from Gravity Falls. It's just that trope of like they're in an arena, it's time to fight, as a person. It was a cool episode. You got to see like the hero and villain team up and have to work together.
Yeah, it was
and
the classic like the nemesis. Let's stick them together and make their lives depend on each other's survival, so they have to work together.
And I love the reason for that is because of it would make better entertainment.
Yeah.
It's like, touche, writers, touche. Oh, but yeah, this is a good episode. And like them working together and Ben helping out Kevin Levin was a cool scene.
And Ben riding on the back of this giant monstrosity.
It showed that Ben had some like cleverness to him, because sometimes he's not the smartest to him.
Yeah, I kind of forgot how dumb he could be most of the time.
But like in this one, he was like, oh, if he uses this ability and this ability, then there you go.
Yeah.
That could work, because he has that tactical eye.
Yeah.
You know, what 10-year-olds have.
You know,
I guess it's more creativity.
every 10-year-old has.
Yeah. Every 10-year-old has a tactical eye. And then also, Ben calls Kevin Levin a freakazoid, which makes me think that he has seen the 1990s TV show Freakazoid.
He said Freakazoid, and I immediately thought of the TV show.
And I'm like, he looks nothing like Freakazoid, but I do appreciate that Ben has seen his 90s TV show. Of course he would have. He's around that age bracket. He was born in... What was his birthday? He's like 1996. 1996, yeah, like around that like late 90s stage is when his year of birth is. So of course he would have seen Freakazoid. Kyran, do you have any thoughts?
This is another one of the episodes I kind of just forget a bit about. One of the only things though is like when they're fighting the gladiators and that, it's like the people they're fighting aren't exactly bad. It's more they're just kind of forced to. Yeah, I don't really have much to add to this one.
Episode 6, The Galactic Enforcers.
Oh, this one. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. The opening shot when the orange dude like breaks into the thing, my first thought was, oh, it's Technog from the previous episode.
Yeah.
And then he started like smashing robots and stealing stuff, and I was like, that's not Technog.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, because you're like, well, I didn't expect for them to bring him back so quickly. I thought he went to another... alien species. Great way to confuse the kids.
Yeah, there's not just one guy. That being said, they also do bring back 6-6 in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boba Fett. He's back again.
Yeah, literally, they're like, because I didn't watch the first season prior to watching the second season for context. So I saw him and I was like, I don't remember this guy. And then they were like, he's a bounty hunter. Look out for his jetpack. And I was like, what is with bounty hunters and jetpacks? Like, come on.
In the episode he's introduced, it's literally the scene where Vader is going around trying to get recruits to hunt down Luke Skywalker. But it's Vilgax trying to get Ben. It's literally that scene.
Nice.
And that's like the whole thing. And I was even then going like, yeah, he's Boba Fett. Like, come on. He's kind of there. People do like him. I'm not the biggest fan of him. And his jetpack gets hit. He goes, psh. He flies into a pit.
I think the reason for all the bounty hunters like that is like people have seen Star Wars. They see Boba Fett and it's like, wow, that guy's really cool. And then he gets taken out like a chump. And they basically scream justice for Boba Fett. Like Ethan screams freaking justice for Waluigi and Smash. And then they all just make their own edition of him just to try and make the idea work a bit better. But then they still have him getting taken out like a chump just because his jetpack got lightly tapped.
Yeah, but that moment when the forearm alien, when you realize the forearm alien is hitting on a 10-year-old kid,
and you're like, go. My only note for this episode is me going, I like that Ben is reading manga in 2006.
Yeah.
I think of the other, I don't know, because me reading manga was like 2015, so I don't know what the scene was back in 2006. But like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like
I have a few complaints about this episode. Like, not major complaints, but like, first of all, Gwen is like 10, and yet she knows the chemical composition of iron on sight. She knows, and somehow also knows the fine details of chemical bonding and metallurgy, and how to operate a steel mill at age 10.
He's a nerd.
Also,
she reads books and has the internet at her fingertips.
Okay, but like, she's 10.
I'm just giving you the justification the show gave you.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, like, if they're going for iron, couldn't they have just found an iron refinery? And if they've had any types of scanners whatsoever, would they have not found trace bits of iron in everyone's blood?
It's a kids show, Ethan.
Anyway, moving on.
This episode is fine, I guess. It's like when I was watching it, I'm like, I don't know what episode is, and then when they arrive, I'm like, it's this episode. I mean, it's fine. Episode 7, Camp Fear.
I saw this episode, and as soon as I saw Living Plants, I was like, Wildvine.
As soon as I saw the title, I was like, Wildvine.
This episode, it is tied with the Bounty Hunter episode for my favorite in the whole series. I don't know why, I just really like these ones.
I also really like this episode too. I think it's, again, one of the best of the series.
This is definitely my favorite of this season, without a question.
I don't know if it's my favorite of the season, but it is, like, up in the top 3. It's like the tie of the 3. I'm like, is this one better? I think this one's better. It's in the top 2. I don't know if it's, like, the best. If there's another episode that's a bit better, but it's really good.
Honestly, I think this season's kind of but there are, like, about 3 or 4 episodes that just make it really good.
Yeah.
But there's
that's fair enough.
ones, like 4, 5, and 6, I don't really care for at all.
Episode 8 is one of those, like, yeah, you're right. It's a bit like, yeah. But yeah, this was just a really cool episode. Like, it's creepy, and it's really cool to do that. And also, very high stakes. Like, Max gets captured, Ben gets captured, about to be eaten by a giant plant. Gwen's left all alone with these 2 twins and this not freak as in, like, he's freaking out, but, like, and they're just left defending themselves against, like, this mushroom horde. Like, it's a really good episode.
Yeah.
Also, new alien.
Yeah, Wildvine is probably one of the best aliens from the original show.
Voice crack. Yeah.
He's got, like, a great face for expressions. I don't know. He's just like, I just love that face that Wildvine does. He does it later in I think episode 9. But, like, it's just like, well, so he has bombs on his back. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Wildvine's face is strangely like anime when it comes to expression, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of.
Well, I mean, like, the whole show has, like, a little bit of that anime influence, but I think everything did after Teen Titans.
Yeah.
After Teen Titans strongly took it in, every other show was like, yeah, we can, like, Ben 10 has a bit of that in there with, like, its design for characters and its expressions of things. And then, like, Avatar just took that concept and ran with it to the point that it just is an anime.
I also love how the episode starts with, like, the weird kid. I think his name's, like, Eugene or something. Oh, no, Gilbert.
Yeah, Gilbert, yeah.
I love how the episode starts with him nearly getting run over.
Yeah.
And then he nearly falls off a cliff.
I was watching this episode and the previous episode with my brother, and we're just sitting watching it. And then, like, because before he gets hit, it cuts to, like, the intro. And when it cuts the intro, I'm like, and he got hit by a car.
Yeah.
He died. It was real sad.
Also,
I had to move on.
Speaking of the intro, I will never get over how epic the intro is.
Yeah.
It is a good intro. It is.
I think that's the thing every guest is gonna say, like, the intro of the show is just amazing, which it is.
I got first when I started watching, like, when I rewatching the show, I was like, when the intro played, I'm like, this is good, but, like, that slight thing of, like, am I a bit too old for this? Because again, it was the first few episodes. But at this point, I'm like, yeah, and you groove along with the intro, going, oh, that's so good. I'm waiting till they change it though, because I remember they changed the intro, but I think that's in season 3 they changed.
Yeah.
I think that's why I've never really watched past season 2 much. Like, 1 and 2 are the ones I know really well. Season 3 and 4, I basically don't know.
I think I remember, like, at least 3 or 4 episodes from each season, and it's like 1 or 2 I just completely forget about every season.
Yeah, like in season 3, I only remember the one where they go in the video game, and I also remember, like, Ben Wolf, but, like, not the episode, just the alien.
Wow.
I can remember, like, bits of the episode of Ben Wolf, and I can remember, like, Ben getting the mummy guy, and then I remember him fighting the weird Frankenstein zombie dude, but that's about it.
I remember pretty much most of season 3. I went through it and I'm like, oh wow, I remember most of this. But yeah, like, Camp Fear, I think, is one of the best episodes of the series. And again, it introduced a new alien, new villain, which is like a cool villain, who was just like a big old plant brain. And, like, you know, you got, like, some athlete's foot, like, powder, just that saves the day. Another is an episode where not the alien is the hero, but Ben is the hero.
Yeah. I do think the ending's a bit of a cop-out, though.
It is a little bit, but
It is a bit of a...
That's the only thing I have against this episode.
Episode 8, The Ultimate Weapon. I was like, what is this one? And I watched it, I'm like, this one. I didn't very much like it as much as a
I'm
kid.
trying to remember what it is by the name, and I can't think of it.
Exactly. When Max learns that part of an alien weapon has been unearthed in Texas, he becomes obsessed with finding it. The Forever Knights are back.
Yeah,
I don't know it's Texas when it's clearly of Aztec origin. Like, it's a ziggurat.
Yeah, it's weird. I was like, where in America are they going to find that temple? Like, I'm like, what is, like, I don't know, it's just weird. Like,
yeah,
it's a weird
this one was a bit of a...
Like, I appreciate the Forever Knights, like, principle of being like, I'm a murderer child. Like, I appreciate that standpoint in a kid's show, like, that's good on you, mate, but, like, you know, it's not a great episode. Like, it was interesting because it instead of having the kids learn a lesson, it was Max.
Yeah.
But it felt a bit forced.
Yeah.
And, like, it was
a bit very forced.
Forever Knights are back. That's all I really care about.
I liked that scene. Like, in the episode, like, the only scene I really enjoyed the scene was when, like, Forearms was, like, going around him and, like, climbed up out of the hole, out of the bottomless pit. There's nothing more bottomless than the bottomless pit. As you can see, here is bottomless. And so, like, when they climb out of the pit, and then, like, Forearms is like, hey, Grandpa, I think she needs a rest. And he's like, no, we gotta keep going. And he's like, no, we gotta, for family. And I was like, I really like that scene. Shame the rest of the episode is fine at best.
One thing, though, like, at the end where the leader of the Forever Knights, they only give him a name in this episode, and I forget what it is. Plus, I'm pretty sure he dies in this episode, so it doesn't matter.
He doesn't die.
I think his name was, like, Enoch or something?
Yeah, that sounds something like it.
When he, like, gets the sword or whatever, and it just crumbles to pieces, and the reason they give is, it's too old. That's just stupid.
That made me laugh. I was like, yeah, that's funny.
No, that's just flat out dumb. I don't like that answer. They could just be like, it was just a legend, it was never a real sword, it could have just been something someone made as a hoax. But they're like, no, it was real, it's just gotten old and fallen to pieces.
Wasn't the point of the sword that it could, like, control humanity or something?
It controls the destiny of humankind.
Yeah, I was like, I just watched the film Constantine. I don't need to see a worse version of that film.
Also, like, the Guardian of the Tomb, it's like, be careful, he's unbeatable, he's a massive threat, and then Forearms, like, punches him once and he's knocked unconscious the rest of the episode. Like,
I'm like, is that an alien? Can Ben access that alien?
That's the thing, it's like, it's never said if he's, like, an alien or a monster or a demon or something.
Or a robot or anything.
Probably not a robot.
Or magical.
If they couldn't make a sword that doesn't fall apart, I doubt they could make a robot like that.
That is fair. It was a fine episode, probably the worst of the season.
I don't know if it's definitely at the bottom end. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I hate it the most. I really don't like the Galactic Enforcers that much.
That's fair. It's probably it's in that level of like, why am I watching this?
Yeah.
Episode 10 I also think is kind of meh.
That's fair. It's again, that feels a bit like episode 1. Episode 10 is a season 1 episode, like earlier you're like, I mean, I guess. But yeah, episode 9, Tough Luck.
Oh, this one. Yeah, I also forgot that Gwen didn't have her constant magical powers yet.
I'm just sitting there being like, why can't she just get them already?
Yeah, I was literally like, is she gonna get them now?
I just remember this one as like Hex comes back and Charmcast is introduced, and Hex is about as useless as he was last time.
He's always useless.
Like, so easily interrupted when monologuing, and then just gets taken. Like, he's such a poor quality villain. He gets taken out so easily every time.
So funny. He just gets hocked into a pool.
Yeah.
He's such an idiot. And he's like so bad at what he does.
It's so funny.
Being a master magician.
like 10 times and he keeps messing it up due to something or another, or he keeps missing. The only other thing I remember is that they bring the hoverboard that they get from the Diamond Head guy.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, there was no setup for this. It
Yeah,
just exists.
I had no context for that. I forgot that was a thing. Like
Yeah,
going
that's-
straight into season 2 without watching season 1, I forgot that existed entirely. And I was like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, because he gets the hoverboard from the other from the good bounty hunter who's a Diamond Head. But I was like, they did not set it up at all. Like normally they would set it up in like the intro and have it in the conclusion, but nah, they're just like, well, we have it. Why don't we just use it? Which is fine, but
I
like,
kinda like that, to be honest, because if they had like a massive setup, it's like, oh no, he's in the air and we can't get there. What will we do? I know, hoverboard.
not even have that, but just have it like, so you could see it in the background of the beginning of the episode. Like, not even have it as like a main front, but just at least have it in the background, so you're not just walking in like Ethan was going, what? When did he get that?
Yeah.
I just like that it's just brought out of nowhere. I don't know, but I always remember.
I mean, that
like,
is kind of cool, having like some vague continuity of he gets the hoverboard and then it comes back later rather than just not coming back ever. But it would be nice if it was like sitting somewhere in the background so I can see
Yeah.
it.
The few things are like, one, when he brings the hoverboard out, I think a few things. One, did he just forget about it until now? There's so many times he could have used it and just didn't. And two, I always wonder, because the Downer guy, he also had like this laser gun that was basically a nuke. I always wondering, what if he just gave that to Ben instead of the hoverboard? He had to get both using the gun, and like how short this episode would have been. It's like, oh no, a bad guy. Bang, we blew up Vegas. Get out of here.
I did like at the end how they gave like a nod to Gwen's latent magical
Yeah.
abilities, but it's like she picks up the staff and is like, huh, only a master magician can use this. Never mind the fact that Hex has been using it, so, you know, but then she just like, pew!
I like to
It's
think
like,
that
wow.
Master Magician is just a title used, like how you have Grand Emperor Snoke. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
come on. You don't need Grand, we get it.
That's the thing, like, another thing I have about Hex is like, oh, you fool, you're incompetent to me in any way. There's no way you can work out to press, like, this win button. It's like, only a true master at life can press that button. Freaking infant just walks up and accidentally presses the button. It's like, I was thwarted by a mere child.
We're blasting off again!
yeah, he's like, you fool, only someone with 10,000 IQ can know to step somewhere in this room and instantly defeat me. Ha 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 ha. And then, you know, a fly like flies in the room and he just dies. Like,
Nabbit!
That's the thing, like, the only people he beats are police, and that's because the police just don't bother to shoot him.
yeah.
Freeze! This is the kids' show!
They're not shooting him, Bailey, because, like, is he even a threat? And then he, like, floats their guns, like, 2 feet away from him. It's like, curses.
But also, the note at the beginning when, like, the magic guy does, like, the trick on Ben, he comes out as Wildmot. I'm like, didn't they do that in the live-action terrible movie?
No,
Like, they had to win, like, a talent show. Or something as a talent show at the end, and then Ben turns into Wildmut and is like, whoa, magic! And you're like, whoa, this movie's terrible!
I don't even think I've seen that movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
guess
I
what we
haven't,
should do,
and I
Kyra?
don't want to.
Oh,
Yeah, again, this episode is fine. Like, and I like Charmcaster.
yeah.
I think she's more of a competent villain with her putties. Also, Ben is just good in this episode. Like, I enjoyed Ben in this episode.
They have some good jokes throughout the season, which I forgot.
I think I liked Ben in this one because he was just, like, cool with Lucky Girl. He wasn't jealous, he was just like, oh, phew, an extra person with, like...
He's like, I'm just glad to have some backup.
I'm like, you know, that's a good interaction. I like that they had that good interaction between the two. Episode 10, They Lurk Below. Hey, is this a Ripjaws episode?
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
the plot for this episode, or like the reason this episode exists, one of the creators is just walking through the office one day and sees a Ben 10 poster, and they stop and turn, and they notice a speck they didn't see before. They zoom in with like a microscope,
Enhance!
and they see,
Yeah.
and they see a little image of Ripjaws, and they're like, "Oh shit, this guy existed. We need to make something of him."
Guys, we gotta do Ripjaws. Who's Ripjaws? Oh my god, we forgot about him.
And he was used was in the opening part of the first episode.
Yeah,
This-
because
which
it
is
gets
like
Ripjaws
the
to
only thing I
accelerate.
like about the episode. Like I just like
Ripjaws is like one of my favorites, and it's like, boy, Malad.
He never gets used outside of the series again. Like, sure, the alien species is used, but Ben never turns into one. I think maybe once in Alien Force. No, not Alien Force. In Omniverse, he might. I think he might.
I think
don't.
the only alien that's used less than Ripjaws is Ghost Freak.
And
Yeah,
that's, and we'll address that in the next episode.
Yeah, but that's with a reason.
I also like. Let's just talk about aliens just not being in it. Heat Blast and like Diamond Head appear like they appeared a little bit, but there's just like this massive gap where they're just not in it. With Diamond Head and
Yeah.
Heat Blast are just not there.
I barely saw Heat Blast this season, and I was like, boy.
Yeah. Like in the first season, he's almost like every episode, or at least every second episode. But this one was just kind of very absent.
The only time I really saw like a full Heat Blast was in the montage when he's trying to damage the massive tick.
Well, that and in episode 3 where Kevin turns into.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I miss his fire scream.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things, because, like, the reason for them being so prone in Season 1 is, like, oh, Ben just goes, like, the biggest, toughest alien to just try and punch everything. By this time, he's learned that his aliens have a bit more to do than just punching, so he started to use them a bit more.
Yeah.
I don't get me
Fire
wrong.
blasting from a distance.
Like, I appreciate Stinkfly and Accelerate getting a bit more use. Same with Grey Matter. He's actually more common in this season. He feels like he's appeared at least every second or third episode.
Yeah, he gets used a lot more. We're not even talking about episode 10 because, like, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, like, I don't know, Max meets he's got an old friend. They go into water, there's like an alien thing. I found it weird that they're not like, let's return the orb to the aliens. They're like, nah, let's make it an implosion and all the aliens die.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a
He's
weird
like,
message.
Okay, pacifist route? No. Genocide. Let's go.
Yeah.
I kind of liked, like, when they're escaping from when everything's getting destroyed and there's, like, water everywhere and there's, like, a bit more tension then, but apart from that, there's not much in this episode.
It's not a bad episode, it's just kind of very much forgettable.
It's not exactly a good one.
Yeah, it's like fine. It's like, it's alright.
Like,
You can
this
put it
is
on
what-
TV.
I put it slightly above Ultimate Weapon. I think it's also, this is probably the episode I've seen the least out of this season, because, like, this is the one I'm pretty sure when watching through all this is the only one I hadn't seen before, and maybe episode 13. I think they're the only two I hadn't seen prior to rewatching these.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll move on from that fine episode to probably one of the best episodes they've made. Ghost Freaked Out.
This is
That
one of
one.
the other best episodes in the
Yes,
season.
that episode was one that I had vivid memories of, especially being my favorite. And I honestly thought it was in a later season, but I was pleasantly surprised when I found it in season 2.
Like, it's just such a good episode because I like it when they bring out a concept and they just go with it. Like, they're like, what if we do this? And this is very out there. Why don't we just go for it? And this one being like, the DNA of a ghost has its own consciousness because of course it does. It's a ghost.
Well, no, the
Yeah.
way they reason it is actually pretty good. Like, most of the aliens in that, they just have, like, a small sample of DNA, so, like, with one, it might just be, like, a piece of hair or something. And it's like, you can't get DNA from a ghost, so they just got a ghost and just shoved it in the watch. It's not DNA, they just actually put Ghost Freak in the watch.
And and I'm like, damn, that's some good reasoning. I understand why he's mad. And then he's like, and I'm gonna take over you and take over the planet. And you're like, uh-oh, he's a bad guy.
Yeah,
Well, not even addressing the fact that he becomes a bit more violent.
and like you know,
Yeah.
threatening to make Gwen jump off the top of a building.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, dude, man, this is a kid's show.
Also, when they're all when all the weird 3 guys are
Yeah,
like,
the circus freaks are
hunting.
back.
When they're hunting Gwen and Max in the kitchen, there are 2 things. All I could think of was Jurassic Park.
Fair enough. Yeah,
And the
I was
second
thinking that
thing-
too.
What school has a massive barrel of just grease in their kitchen, slime?
What's called?
It's
Think
a
about that. Think about
university.
that.
America, am I right? No offense to Americans.
No, all the offense to Americans. No, one, it's like it is kind of like it's like a high society school. Like it's kind of university, but it's
Yeah,
kind of like one of
so
those
that
schools where it
begs the
has like every
question.
grade.
Yeah, I
So
think
that
it's like
begs
a
the question,
private
why is
school.
it
Why is it tangy grease? Well, haven't you... So, from my experience from The Simpsons, and how The Simpsons is 100% accurate to what America is like, the school cafeteria is horrendous. So, no matter the school, your food's gonna be bad. Hence, just a bucket of grease. I'm not inherently saying I don't know what...
It could just be waste that they're trying to get rid of, or maybe they're going to use it for
I just
science.
assumed
True.
that.
For emergency fires, I don't know.
For putting over the burglars' heads so they can slip in a comical fashion and slam on the ground.
Exactly. And
I
so
love
they
that
used it correctly.
Yeah, I love how the circus freaks went from, like, formidable henchmen to basically the Three Stooges.
Yeah,
Well, that's
that's
because
pretty accurate.
Ben's beaten them before, and he could just beat him the same way again. Like, they're not like Hex, who, while they're very incompetent, got someone kind of competent in for them to later lose to. It's not like other characters. They're just like the same three people, just in a different location.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, even before they ran into Ben again, and they're just, I think, still doing criminal stuff, they're still just really bad at it.
This is, again, like, a really cool episode because you got to see that concept of Ghost Freak, and his, like, Ghost Freak's actual look, I'm like, man, that's real spooky.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I've seen
That was-
worse in a kid's cartoon, but, like, you know, that's still a spooky villain.
Yeah.
It was epic. And
Like,
like
his head's upside down, and he's got the tentacles coming out.
making Gwen and Ben fight was like they're like the classic sibling possessed, like best friend possessed, and they have to fight, but it was still epic watching Gwen trying to flip kick this 2 meter tall alien of muscle.
It was a well done fight because it was showing that, like, well, Ben doesn't want to hurt Gwen, so he's not fighting back. But Gwen's just kind of trying to kick him in the head because it's forearms. She can't do anything else.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of wished in that, like, Ben just went flick, just slammed her into a wall, she went unconscious, and it's like, well, she's not fighting me anymore.
Her leg's broken, her back's broken, she's completely unconscious for
It's
more than longer intended, but it's fine. Also, I like the bit where, like, Ghost Freak goes onto Forearms, and then Forearms picks up Ghost Freak and throws him off.
Yeah.
It's just a cool... I like that, that's cool. And
Also, let's
the-
not forget that he actually just killed Ghost Freak in the end.
Yeah, and it was Ben who's the hero of the day, not one of his aliens, it was Ben.
Don't think he actually killed him, because I'm pretty sure Ghost Freak comes back.
Oh,
every
he
now-
comes back a lot. He's in Omniverse, again.
The one thing,
I-
though, Ghost Freak's weakness to light, I feel like that's kind of dumb. Because he doesn't have the weakness when Ben's using Ghost Freak, but I think there's an explanation in the episode, and I just don't remember it.
Yeah,
It was
they did
like
explain
he was
it.
incomplete without.
Yeah, no,
he-
the reason
yeah,
he
he
was
had-
weak was because he was incomplete. And that's why he wanted to possess Ben, so he could be complete and then go out into the universe and take over the world. Episode 12, Dr. Animo and the Mutant Ray.
Oh yeah, this one. Where Ben tries to, take apart an immensely powerful intergalactic artifact with a
That's
screwdriver.
super dumb.
And then when he breaks it, tries to stick it back together with some chewing gum.
I was like, yeah, Ben, what
is-
are you... This is like some high-tech crap. And then he's like just got a screwdriver just jamming it into the watch, and I'm like, this is not gonna end well, man.
And he breaks it. Like, what kind of immensely powerful intergalactic artifact breaks with a bit of jamming from a screwdriver? It's a small stick of metal.
Yeah, it shouldn't break, but it did. And that led to some cool creative characters. I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Animal
Also,
would be
there's
very cool.
the bait that looked like sting flowers. Like, that's just, what are the farmers thinking? Like, they're like, oh my god.
Yeah, they're just like, that's some weird looking worms. I mean, they were in Florida, so yeah, so they were Florida men, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Dr. Animo was like, I like that we've hit a point where the villains aren't going for something. They're just hunting Ben because I want revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, Kevin left and he's like, I want revenge on Ben. Dr. Animo's like, I want revenge on Ben. Vilgax is like, I still want the Omnitrix. But, Ben would be good too.
Actually, that is one thing
Also-
that annoys me, though, about Kevin and, like, the rest of this series. He's such a petty bitch, and it was
yeah.
his own fault, and I was like, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's
So
the one thing I hated about Kevin was just he was such a whiny little. Oh,
Like, I just wanted Max to just punch him in the jugular to get him to stop talking at one point. Like, holy crap. That's like cutting your arm off and blaming someone else for it because they didn't stop you. No, you cut your fucking arm off.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That is very fair. But like, I enjoyed this episode. Again, had that body horror to it. It sure did. When
I
Dr.
gotta
Animo.
say, my favorite one was the Ripjaw Heat Blast. That actually looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
I liked that because it's just like he's like, this is a terrible combination.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. It's like, yay, Ripjaw gets more screen time, and he's killing himself. God damn it. I do like the fire bat, though. But one thing I do find weird about this episode, so the way his ray works, he's gotten that part of the Omnitrix, but the part he's got, it's like the screen.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It's so
and it
dumb.
somehow
That
holds
does nothing at all.
immense power. And I
It's-
like how they reverse it. They literally just flip it.
Yeah.
It's a flat piece of glass, and they just flip it, and
With
it
a
does
power
magical
source, and I guess I reckon it's like the way I chalked up into my head was like, yeah, it has like DNA residue, but of mostly stinkfly.
Yeah, but like, that's one of the things where it's like, oh crap, we need to revert all the changes, and there's only a minute left in the episode. Flip it.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Wait a second, let's just do that to me." Oh, that was the one point. There was this actually one of 2 points in the whole season where he does something to the little insignia on himself. Like he grabs the lens and just sticks it on his little insignia. And it
I love
fixes
that.
the
That's how it
Omnitrix.
fixed it, and it was like, we did it, and I'm like, this just reminds me of the ending of that one episode of Dark Place, which you guys haven't seen, but I might get you for a TV retrospective. But it's a parody show of like a Stephen King dollar store knockoff if he had his own TV show in the 80s, and it's like a parody and joke about it. So the show was shot horribly and it looks horrendous, but it's super funny. And one of the episodes, what they do was they forgot to film the ending explaining it all, so they had a minute where they just had the camera on a plant with very sped up footage, with sped up audio, just explaining how explaining how like the motivation of the villain and the ending.
Nice.
And it's just like, and we saved the day, and it cuts to a planet going, so what happened when he was trying to do this and that and that? Oh, of course, because this is, yes, aha, and it just makes no sense, and this is the end. And like, and that's what this reminded me of, where I'm like, yep, the end, they saved the day. Episode 13, Back with a Vengeance, and boy,
Yeah.
I really liked this episode. I thought this was great.
This one was good. I kind of saw it coming because like he just sent Kevin off into space, and it was like he's gonna be back. I didn't really see Bill Gax coming though, but when he
Yeah,
did come back, I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, because I was like, I don't remember him being frozen and adrift in space, but alright. I just assume he was. I just remember a ship blowing up.
Oh wait, yeah, Vilgax's. Yeah, I still don't understand that.
I guess he was just floating around going.
So I remember watching this one, I'm like, it's kind of cool, but I'm also kind of on it, mainly because I think I was fixated the entire time, like, how the hell did Vilgax get in space?
Yeah,
Like,
Like,
the ship blow up and go down with the gravity of the Earth.
Like, I deadass just spent the entire time, like, how did he get here?
dude,
honestly
I'm still like
blew.
confused about how like Kevin has like the sheer confidence to like talk up to like to speak up to Vilgax after he absolutely steamrolls him and all his minions. Like he breaks out of the ice, punches them all away, sends Kevin flying, beats him around a bit. Kevin does like nothing to him, and then he's like, tell me about the Omnitrix. And he's like, you might be useful.
Yeah, because he's that person who gets beat up and goes, I won the fight. It was a tough fight.
God, I hate Kevin in the first series.
That's fair. He's just so within his head. He's like so far up his own ass. I don't know, I really like this episode because it's just like cool. Because Ben is just like fiddling with the watch again after he didn't learn his lesson from last time. He's just like fiddling with it and like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm just trying to work out a combination. It's like, there are 1,000 ones. And he goes, oh cool, I unlocked ultimate control. Yeah, but like, Ben's just fiddling with watch. He goes, cool, ultimate control. And he just goes. And we get to see all these aliens like, yeah, Diamond Head's back. Oh no, he got his face pushed into the null void. Great. I actually like this setup. Like, unlike the hoverboard, the null void I really liked that setup. I know it wasn't set up at the beginning of the episode, but that was the series connector. So in episode 1, they show a gun. Episode 2, they fire. Episode 13, the end of the season, they fire the gun. It's a very long Chekhov's gun. But I just really like it, and we get to see the Null Void for the first time.
Yeah, that was a really cool episode.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, this is the Null Void. Nice.
It's just cool because you get to see like the two biggest villains of the series kind of team up. And one of them's like, I just want to punch Ben in the face. The other one's like, well, you can do that after I get this fancy watch.
Yeah.
Once I have the watch, you can do whatever the hell you want, because I don't care about the kid. I just want the watch. The only reason you dislike the kid is because 1, he's related to Max, and 2, because he's got the watch.
Also, I somehow never made the connection that Steve Bloom voiced Vilgax, and I don't know how, but
Who's
like,
Steve Bloom again?
who isn't Steve Bloom?
I'm trying, because I know I recognize the name.
Dragon Slayer.
Spike Spiegel,
Oh my god!
Zeb Borrelios, Wolverine, and like 8 separate animated
He's Spike?
things. Yeah,
The villain from like my favorite show as a kid is like now the main protagonist of of my favorite anime. Dude.
Steve Bloom is like my favorite voice actor of all time.
There's 2 things though that I'm kind of like about on this episode. The first one, the whole thing seems to just be a thing of just like giving an excuse of Ben to go sicko mode, pretty much. Like he unlocks
Pretty
the
much.
watch, but
Yeah,
only
and they
for this
retcon it at the
episode.
end.
Yeah, like it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, like, well, what do the kids care about? They care about the plot making sense, or do they care about cool action fight scenes?
Oh wow, he's like Vilgax,
Connor's
Ghost
still on
Freak,
Steve Bloom.
Heat Blast, a Wolverine, a Stormtrooper, the main antagonist of season 1 of Korra, Starscream and Transformers Prime, Spike Spiegel,
Yeah, he's a ton. Like, he's everywhere. Once you hear his voice,
Sub-Zero,
you will hear
Green
it everywhere.
Goblin.
Yeah, Connor, he's one of those voice actors where you hear him once and you recognize
He's
him
the
once.
Tsunami guy.
Yeah, you hear him everywhere. Once you recognize his voice, you will hear him everywhere.
Red Skull, the Chameleon, the alien guy from Star Wars Rebels. What's his face? The horse-looking Thor that I can't remember.
Oh, I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
but I forget his
Beta
name.
Ray Bill.
Yeah, Beta Ray Bill. Anyway, back to the episode.
Yeah.
Back to Ben 10.
One other thing though, so Vilgax wants to watch off Ben, right? That's all he wants. He wants the Omnitrix.
Yep.
So he meets Kevin, an amalgamation of all the stuff in the Omnitrix. Why does he not just use Kevin to create his own?
Because Ben now has 2 more aliens. I mean, not that Vilgax knows,
No,
but
No, because
He,
he can't create it. He just wants to steal the watch because it's already there. You know how much
Yeah, but-
effort it is to create your own Omnitrix?
He
Like,
literally-
only the smartest person in the universe is able to make it.
he wants to get it
Quote,
so he can
unquote.
reverse engineer it. So he can
Yeah.
make millions.
But he does, yeah, but to reverse engineer it, he needs to have it so he can reverse engineer it.
I just want an excuse for him to cut up Kevin, okay? That's all I want.
Like, it is a bit weird that he doesn't exactly question why like, I like that he does point out that Kevin is like a freak in that universe, because he would be. Because he's got like the arms of one species, like, imagine seeing like, a person, and they've got like,
He's space
arms
Frank.
of a dog's, the legs of like a kangaroo, the tail of like a lemur, eyes of a spider, hair like a horse, like a weird amalgamation of like several species, and we're like, what the hell? And I like that, like, to everyone in that universe, like, what the hell is that? So, and I like that Vilgax is like, well, I recognize you've had a run-in with Tennyson. I've had a run-in with Tennyson. You've obviously interacted with the watch. So let's kind of team up here. I don't know, I think it's cool. And I like that Ben resets the watch when he gives it up.
yeah.
And, like, goes, ah, crap, at the end of the episode.
So they gave him master control for an episode, and then they just retconned it because they're like, "Oh damn,
It's too
if
much
we have,
power."
like, more episodes." Yeah, we can't have him like instantly changing. Well, I mean, like if he instantly changes for the rest of all of Ben 10, there's no cool transformation scenes.
I mean,
You can't-
eventually he does get it back.
Yeah,
Does
In,
he
like,
get a-
Ultimate Alien.
Or is it only like Alien Force and Ultimate Alien?
What'd you say?
Does he get it back in this series, or is it Alien Force?
Alien Force or Ultimate Alien. I think in Alien Force he gets it for a little bit but then loses again, but I think in Ultimate Alien he just has it.
Pretty sure Alien Force he has like pretty much no cooldown. He knows how to turn back whenever he wants.
Yeah, maybe. Well, again, I'll have to rewatch it. I'll have to do a TV retrospective on it.
Yeah,
But
I'm pretty sure.
It says N10 and all that stuff. It expires in 5 days, so I think it's being dropped from Stan in 5 days from now.
I have a feeling that either A, we're going to be able to finish the series in 5 days, or B, if not, you could come over to my place and we can watch season 4. I own all 4 on DVD, so if I lose it on Stan, dang, still doesn't matter. It was just a good episode, and like it left the end of the episode left it so Vilgax and Kevin are now in the null void.
Yeah.
Ben got that awesome thing when he puts back on the watch and he does like the thing where all the aliens flash up behind him.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I was like, I remember that shot. I think that's really cool and stuff.
But it leaves it open for further seasons. Woohoo!
For exactly 2 more further seasons, and then
multiple sequel series.
And a remake, which, what are your overall thoughts on this season?
I think it's not as good as season 1, but it does have some really good episodes.
Yeah, it has some fantastic episodes. At the same time, it has some kind of subpar ones.
I would say it's better than season 1. I think I like this one more than season 1. I think like there are season 1 episodes which I really like and are up there, but like I think overall I like the season more than the first one.
I think I definitely prefer season 1 because I think in season 1 there's like 1 or 2 episodes I don't really like. In this one, yeah, there's a few I just don't like. There's a few I'm neutral, and there's only a couple that I'm like, these are good. But yeah, episode 7's tied for my favorite episode of all time.
Fair enough. I think I would still give it the same rating as the first season. It's like a 3.5 out of 5, but I would still, if I was to say which one's my favorite out of the 2 so far, I'd say season 2.
I'd probably give this season like a 5.5, to be honest.
Out of 10? Wow.
Yeah.
Damn,
No,
that's
out of
low.
5.
Whoa! No, but like that's low, man.
There's just a lot of episodes I don't care about. Like 1 I forget exists. I like 2. 3's good. 4, 5, and 6 I don't really like. 7's amazing. 8 kind of sucks. 9's okay. 10's there. 11's pretty good. 12 is okay, and 13's also okay. I just
Fair enough.
don't like as many.
Fair. I'd probably just give it a solid 3 out of 5.
Like that's a fair thing. And on that note, where could people find you?
Nowhere.
Yeah, we know, Kyran.
My bedroom.
Under your in a bin.
Of course. As for Ethan, you can find him at the nearest bin, and Kyran you can find in his bedroom because he doesn't want to leave.
I don't want to leave.
That's fair enough. And for me, as always, you can find me at Twitter at Goddamn Robots. You can find me on Letterboxd at What's His Face. I have a podcast which should be going at the moment called Who Brought the Popcorn with Josh from the last episode.
Also, one that you're listening to at the moment.
Oh well, this is on the YouTube channel, so like you could if you like this stuff, there's plenty of other videos here as well. Where else can I be found? I don't know. I think those are the main places I'd like to advertise. And with that, and we're clear.